Any mountain which is under the height of 100 meters will not be considered as a part of Aravalli range. Now what?
Hi there, welcome back to this week's Get Me Right, your favorite deep dive show on stories contemporary and consequential for India. This week I bring to you up to speed on what's happening in Bangladesh, our neighbor that's become a radical hellhole of Islamist thugs. The trigger might be the mob lynching of a Hindu, Deepu Das, but the portents do not look good. Not for Bangladesh, nor for India. Let's go deeper. This video shows how Deepu Das was martyred to a lost cause. He was in police custody when a bloodthirsty mob of radicals snatched him and killed him on charges of blasphemy. What was the blasphemous act? Deepu, a Dalit, while facing the mob, said, "All religions are equal." That was blasphemy for the jihadis. The impotent, illegitimate and ineffective Muhammad Yunus government has sought to convey some action. 12 of the jihadis have been arrested, and an assistant to the chief advisor visited the Dalit family and assured all government help. In many ways, the Yunus regime has shepherded Bangladesh's slide into the radical Islamist hellhole that it has become over the last 18 months since the ouster of the Sheikh Hasina government. The jihadis are out on the streets, the mob rules, policing is ineffective, army remains in perpetual standby mode, judicial systems have been co-opted, political witch hunt is the rule, democracy is increasingly becoming an exception, at least till elections happen. There's that famous Panchatantra fable. A king had a favorite monkey, so trusted that he would rather have the monkey around than the sage advisors. One afternoon, the king wanted to have a nap. He gave his sword to the monkey to keep a watch. In came a fly, a housefly, and hovered around the king's face and plonked on his nose. The monkey, realizing that to be an affront, used the sword to get rid of the fly, chopping off the king's nose in the bargain. In the context of Bangladesh events, we know who the monkey is. The king, the powers who forced this regime change through a curated coup behind the facade of a student protest. We know those were not the protests they were projected to be. Just a recap.
They just look like any other young person. You will not recognize it. But when you see them in action, when you hear them speak, you'll be shaking. They shook the whole country by their speeches, by their dedication, their commitment. They said, you can kill us anytime you want, but we are not giving up. And he is known as to be the brain behind the whole revolution.
But for now, it's not the king being visited the wages of misdeeds, but the people of Bangladesh paying the price. Deepu Das was killed in the rioting that engulfed Bangladesh post the death of activist Osman Hadi, head of Inqilab Mancho. Hadi was not directly connected with the July uprising of 2024. He was more a participant in protests in the Dhaka district of Rampura and not a leader in the movement. He set up his own platform, the Mancho, with more pronounced positions on the Awami League, on India, and the future of Bangladesh. Among others, he sought complete ban on Hasina's party and released the map which showed parts of India's northeast as part of a greater Bangladesh. He increasingly positioned himself as more radical than even the National Citizen Party formed by the student leadership of the July 2024 coup. In this speech, for example, he is seen railing against the Bangladesh army in profanities. He was behind some of the mob lynchings of Awami leaders and participated in the vandalism of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's memorial at Dhanamondi. Hardly a democratic ideal. Yet, we had embassies of the United States and Germany, among others, expressing condolences on Hadi's death. You get the drift there of who's the king. It is not coincidental that a week after Hadi's death in a targeted killing, the Yunus regime has taken the formal decision to ban Awami League from participating in the upcoming general elections early next year. It is not coincidental that Hadi's family has alleged that he was killed by some vested interests wanting to postpone the elections. Who benefits if elections get delayed? Obviously, the present regime or the Jamaat. It is not coincidental that an anti-India spin was sought to be given to the killing. Again, who benefits with that diversion? The present regime. It is to that whipped up anti-India sentiment that the life of Deepu Das was lost. Look at the chronology. Since coming to power, Yunus regime lifted the ban on the Jamaat-e-Islami, the same political group that fought alongside Pakistan Army and against the independence movement in the liberation war of Bangladesh in 1971. Since coming to power, the Yunus regime has released over 200 hardcore radical jihadis, including the likes of Jashimuddin Rahmani, who inspired Hadi to take strong Islamist positions. And these are not just anti-India forces. Groups like Al-Qaeda and Islamic State, or homegrown Hizb ut-Tahrir and Ansarul Bangla team, the ABT, have become active and are capturing public discourse right under the nose of Yunus. Add to it the activation of Dhaka cell in Appara, the ISI headquarters in Rawalpindi. The fact that at least 5 top generals of Pakistan Army, including the ISI chief, have visited Bangladesh this year proves that Yunus has worked to a plan. That of letting slow poison of radicalization lace the public life. Let anti-India forces spread their tentacles even as his administration creates a vacuum by first clamping down on the Awami League and then subtly throttling even the BNP. Hear these voices.
They didn't only want to burn the building, they wanted to murder the staff of the Isha. So we have entered, এটা ফখরুল ভাই খুব সুন্দরভাবে বললেন যে we have not only to just react, stand together, but we have to respond. We have entered into an era of murder. মত প্রকাশ তো অনেক দূর হয়ে গেছে, এখন বেঁচে থাকার অধিকারের ব্যাপারে শেষ। আপনারা এখানে আপনাদের সঙ্গে আমরা আছি, আমাদের সঙ্গে আপনারা থাকবেন। ধন্যবাদ।
This is Mahfouz Arnab, editor of Daily Star, a newspaper that fully backed the July uprising against Sheikh Hasina and supported Yunus' government. He now fears for his life and says murder rules Dhaka. Quote, they did not only want to burn the building, they wanted to murder the staff of Daily Star. We have entered an era of murder. Freedom of expression is a distant dream in Bangladesh. Now the fight to stay alive is there. Daily Star and Prothom Alo were the 2 news platforms targeted by pro-Hadi Islamist thugs. The entire staff inside the buildings had to be rescued from getting burnt alive in the arson. Nazneen Munni is a well-known face of news TV in Bangladesh. She was a Yunus enthusiast and even participated in some of the anti-Hasina protests last year. On Wednesday, in a Facebook status update, she wrote, using the name of the Metropolitan Committee of the Anti-Discrimination Movement, 7 to 8 people came to my office and threatened me, saying that If I did not quit my job, they will set my office on fire like Prothomalo and the Daily Star. Tell me, from whom should I ask for security? Unquote. It is likely that she is being targeted for being a woman who is not falling in line with the jihadi zeitgeist of the times in Dhaka. Majority of student leadership of July uprising, part of the National Citizen Party, now lives in security under the watch of gun-toting guards. They thought revolution would give them a halo, a veneer. It has condemned them instead to the dark shadow of Islamic jihad. Not that there is no pushback. The children of the 1971 Liberation War have still some elbow room left, as this protest at Chayanot, the cradle of Rabindra Sangeet in Bangladesh, showed. Sheikh Hasina is not giving up, marshalling her presence online and Awami resources on the ground to remain relevant with a fight back. The world is taking note as well. Concerned US congressmen have written to Yunus. New York Times took note of Deepu Das killing, even if after 5 days. The BBC followed after 7 days. In the ultimate analysis, this is about Bangladesh. The nation is going through an existential crisis. From the 1952 language movement to the 1971 Liberation War, until recently, the Bangladesh project was one based on language and culture, vis-a-vis Pakistan, which was based on religion. If Pakistan came up as the first Islamic country formed on the Kalma, remember, not even Saudi Arabia, Bangladesh was its antithesis, rooted in music, poetry, and language. If Pakistan was Islam, Bangladesh was perhaps Nazarul Islam. Under Yunus, that founding philosophy stands uprooted. That vision is now under siege as Islamist extremism moves from the fringes towards the center of national life. Such is the pressure that upon his arrival, Tariq Rahman, the son of Khaleda Zia and the BNP leader, announced that if his party comes to power, Bangladesh would be run as per the life of Prophet Muhammad. Did he announce a Sharia rule? Did he announce a caliphate? We don't know. What obtains of the minorities if Bangladesh becomes Riyasat-e Medina? Just another example of how big the transition is. Even as the embers of Deepu Das lynching were burning, a Hindu rickshaw puller named Gopal Biswas was targeted in Dhaka on charges of being an Indian spy simply for the crime of wearing a spiritual wristband, the Kalawa, and chanting Jai Ma Durga. Wednesday saw Amrit Mondal getting killed by a mob in Rajbari district. This time the charge was extortion and not blasphemy. Who is behind all this? Such well-orchestrated series of incidents targeting the very roots of Bangladesh's identity cannot be happenstance. Deepu Das lynching is a continuity with targeting of Chayanot. Arson of Daily Star and Prothomalo is a continuity with vandalism of Dhanamondi. There's a toolkit, a playbook. Destabilize and bring down all symbols of Bangladesh that differentiated it from Pakistan. The Deepu Das lynching was copybook Tehreek-e-Labak pattern in Pakistan, where blasphemy accusations are weaponized routinely against minorities. Bangladesh is being nudged in that direction under the watchful gaze of Muhammad Yunus. The attack on Deepu Das or incarceration of Chinmay Prabhu of ISKCON is an assault on Bengali culture and identity. Islamists hid the syncretism that took Bangladesh out of Pakistan in 1971. They are working on a complete uprooting of the symbols that represent that syncretism. I remember interacting with some Hindu community members during the 2022 visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi to Dhaka. Those in politics spoke of discrimination and the commoners of outright fear and intimidation. A brother-sister duo I met at the Dhakeshwari temple left a lasting impression of what the state of affairs is like. The boy started crying while narrating how fearful they are of protecting their religious identity the moment I queried on the subject. And remember, this was still Hasina's Bangladesh. Since the Bangladesh uprising, the boy, let's name him Akash, has petitioned me twice if I can help evacuate the family to India. I, of course, cannot. But that gives you an idea of how bad the situation is on the ground for the Hindu community. From about 30% in 1941 before partition to about 8% now, it has been a downslide in both percentage and absolute terms for the Hindus in Bangladesh. One could say the situation is not as bad as Pakistan, where the Hindu population stands at around 2%, from 20% pre-partition. But then Pakistan was the reason why Bangladesh came into being, not the inspiration. I had a Bangladeshi citizen in my hostel back in the 1990s as part of a Government of India exchange program studying engineering on Indian taxpayer money. From those interactions and clubbed with the Dhaka visit, I could say that there's a psyche that makes Bangladeshis live in perpetual state of inferiority complex vis-a-vis India. Imagination of a greater Bangladesh by Hadi is an attempt to redeem, in some measure if not fully, the non-Hindu, non-India Bangladesh that the Bangladeshis fantasize. This general direction of radicalism and anti-India sentiment won't change come whichever dispensation in Dhaka, unfortunately. It might just vary in terms of its expression, sometimes muted, as in times of Awami, and at other times pronounced, as we have seen with BNP earlier or Yunus now. That brings me to the question, what are the options available to India? First, the things that have been done well. Despite providing a shelter on humanitarian grounds to Sheikh Hasina, we have kept our lines of communication open with other political forces in Dhaka beyond the Awami League. That includes the BNP. We have used carrot and stick to restrain the Yunus government from tilting completely against India. The carrot of visas and the stick of financial assistance through lines of credit mean the Yunus regime remains on the hook. But going beyond, this program has always maintained that Bangladesh needs some tough love. There was a report this week that New Delhi is exporting 50,000 tons of rice to Dhaka. At US $355 per ton, it's $40 cheaper than what Pakistan is supplying to Bangladesh at $395. Why be nicer than Pakistan? For God's sake. The establishment in Delhi seems hopeful of things changing post-elections. The Yunus regime is seen as an aberration which would die down with transition of power early next year. Maybe, maybe not. If you have watched the Bangladesh developments closely over the last few years, and not just post the August 2024 coup, you would have noticed a pattern of a societal trajectory of radicalization that is no different from what is happening in Pakistan, or to be honest, in some pockets of India also. How different are the radicals in Bangladesh from those in India who seek to rebuild the Babri Mosque in Bengal's Murshidabad district? Or those who are ready to carry out a suicide bombing in the heart of Delhi for the Pakistani project of Kashmir? Because remember, the Kashmir project of Pakistan at its roots is nothing but pivoting the region to religion and to separate it from India on that ground. Perhaps a refashioning of South Asia has to happen. If our strategic community can toy with the idea of a Baluchistan independent of Pakistan, why can't we have and imagine a Hindu majority corridor in North Bangladesh and work towards it as a long-term project? Bhaya bin hoye na preeti. Ideal, of course, would be a life of dignity for the Hindus and other minorities in Bangladesh. The ideal that guided the birth of Bangladesh. Either way, we have to wait. Thanks for watching.
दादी के हाथों का जादू और खुशबू से महकता घर, माँ की मुस्कुराहट और खाने की सुगंध। MDH गरम मसाला,
क्योंकि हर रिश्ता है स्वाद से जुड़ा।
मेरी चिमनी टूट जाएगी। What are you doing?
रानी, इस घर में कुछ है जो टूटता नहीं।
ये पिलर कभी नहीं टूटेगा। रुंगटा स्टील TMT से बना।
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रुंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड।
आर प्योर सूजी पास्ता, उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ,
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने।
We are willing to put an end to this conflict via peaceful means based on the principles that I outlined in July last year when I spoke at the Foreign Ministry of Russia.
Putin squarely blamed Kyiv for the failure of peace negotiations, accusing Ukraine's leadership of refusing dialogue.
Statements from Zelensky that he is not prepared to discuss territory issues. At the moment, we don't see their readiness. I would like to remind where it all began.
Rejecting allegations against Russia, Putin claimed Moscow did not start the war. Putin blames roots of Ukraine conflict lie in 2014 anti-constitutional coup.
We did not start this war. This war began as a result of the anti-constitutional military coup in 2014 and then commencement of the military action against its own citizens in the southeast of Ukraine.
Despite the tough stand, Putin said Russia remains open to dialogue and peaceful resolution.
We also would very much like to live in peace next year, getting rid of military conflicts, and I reiterate, we actually would very much like to resolve all contentious issues by way of talks. President Trump is taking serious efforts to conclude this conflict, put an end to this conflict, and I said on many occasions that he is quite sincere.
The air quality index in Delhi NCR region was recorded as 340, placing it in the very poor category. A thick layer of smog blanketed the Ames area and its surroundings today morning. The Supreme Court took suo motu cognizance on the issue concerning the definition of Aravali Hills. Chief Justice of India Suryakant, who heads the bench, will hear the issue tomorrow. Members of the All India Sunni Jamaatul Ulema protested against the atrocities committed against Hindus in Bangladesh, holding placards and raising slogans. They condemned all forms of violence committed on the basis of religion.
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने।
In the global employability rankings by Times Higher Education UK, only the following 6 institutions from India are ranked amongst the top 230 in the world for having the most employable graduates. IIT Delhi, IISc Bangalore, IIT Bombay, IIM Ahmedabad, IIT Kharagpur and Amity University.
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा क्या स्वाद है। अरे मेरे राजा राजा और मसाला।
मेरी चिमनी टूट जाएगी। What are you doing?
रानी इस घर में कुछ है जो टूटता नहीं।
ये पिलर कभी नहीं टूटेगा। रुंगटा स्टील TMT से बना।
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रुंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड।
दादी के हाथों का जादू और खुशबू से महकता घर, माँ की मुस्कुराहट और खाने की सुगंध। MDH गरम मसाला,
क्योंकि हर रिश्ता है स्वाद से जुड़ा।
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
आर प्योर शाही पनीर मसाला, डिलीशियस, हेल्दी एवरी डे।
MDH की देगी मिर्च,
देगी मिर्च का तड़का, अंग अंग फड़का।
MDH की देगी मिर्च।
We just now felt this entire mountain shiver because there are blasts going on. As we were telling you, usually for the limestone mining, the acceptable range of the blast is around 1 meter, and that won't be so harsh that we could feel this entire mountain feel shake. Yes, definitely. And the kind of, because for cement mining they need a blast of a larger range of something around 50 meters or 60 meters, and when that happens, we were not able to show you, but because that is very frequent between 2 to 3 p.m. we'll try to get that on camera for you guys. But while I was speaking to you, I could feel this mountain shake. So that is the range, and all of this is illegal, Shivam. All of this, the range of those blasts which is used in those mining, the kind of trucks that you see on the other end which are carrying those residual pebbles, those are also not, they are not legally allowed to sell those, but they're not only doing illegal work, they're also making double profit out of whatever is left here. They're making profit illegally out of the Aravalli Hills, the lungs of the Delhi NCR, the home for several hundreds of people, wildlife, and so much more. As we know that recently the Supreme Court has accepted the new definition of the Aravalli range, where any mountain which is under the height of 100 meters will not be considered.
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
Hi there, welcome back to this Sunday edition of This Is Exclusive, in which we are going to focus on two very important stories, the ones where Republic coverage has had an impact. One, of course, the Aravalli Hills and the kind of illegal mining that's been going on, and the Kuldeep Singh Sengar bail. In both the cases, the topmost court of the country, Supreme Court, is taking up the appeals, and in one case, in fact, in the Aravalli case, suo motu hearing as to whether it needs to review the earlier verdict of the Supreme Court itself. And I'm going to get you exclusive elements, both from the ground on Aravalli and an activist on the Kuldeep Sengar case joining us, who's supporting the victim. Let's begin with the headlines. A direct impact of Republic campaign. Supreme Court takes up Aravalli case suo motu. The CJI-led bench to hear the case on Monday, that's tomorrow. The SC also could take a relook at Aravalli definition, a big victory for the people. Republic welcomes the court decision. The topmost court also takes up Aravalli matter suo motu. Following nationwide public campaign, all eyes on the Supreme Court on Monday. The SC to also hear CBI's appeal against suspension of life sentence granted to Kuldeep Singh Sengar on Monday. All right, friends, before we go to the ground for our Aravalli coverage and bring to you some exclusive pictures and footage of the kind of illegal activities that are going on there, still, just a day before the Supreme Court suo motu takes over a review of its earlier judgment, we have, in fact, an activist who's going to join us on the Kuldeep Singh Sengar case. Remember, protests had erupted across the country, not just in Delhi, in support of the victim of rape, and former BJP MLA Kuldeep Singh Sengar is an accused. This is the Unnao rape case. The CBI, in fact, has now filed an appeal challenging the Delhi High Court order of granting conditional bail to Kuldeep Sengar. And there are some other petitioners joining in. We are going to get in Yogita Bhayana live. She's an activist who's been supporting the victim and her family, in fact, standing by them as they continue to protest, first outside the Delhi High Court, then at the India Gate. And that really, remember, is the travesty that a victim of rape and a victim of a strongman has to go through this just because on technicalities and taking a very technical view of the situation of the case. The Delhi High Court granted bail to Kuldeep Singh Sengar, the agency, the investigation agency itself challenging the order and of suspension of life sentence of the expelled BJP MLA Kuldeep Singh Sengar in the Unnao rape case. We're going to be joined in by Yogita Bhayana in just a bit. But before that, let's listen to exactly what she had to say earlier on the issue of appeal that's going to come up tomorrow before the Supreme Court.
मुझे लगता है कि अगर उनकी तबीयत स्टेबल हो गई तो वो घर जाएंगे, और अगर लगा कि नहीं ज़्यादा ख़राब है तो हम अस्पताल जाएंगे। अभी नहीं पता, अभी हमें उनको भी दोनों फेंट हो गई, मम्मी भी उसकी फेंट हो गई और माँ और बेटी दोनों फेंट हो गए। अभी थोड़ा सा बैठने के बाद थोड़ा बेटर फील कर रहे हैं, तो अभी हम पीछे जाएंगे, हमें समझ में आएगा कि उनको क्या हुआ। उनकी माता जी तो बीमार रहती हैं, उन बेटी भी फेंट हो गई थी अभी, क्योंकि अभी मतलब विक्टिम पीड़िता, क्योंकि 4-5 दिन में उनके साथ जो हुआ है ना, वो थोड़ा सा उनके लिए अब आप देख सकते हैं ओवरवेलमिंग था। और यहाँ पर भी धूप में बैठे रहे काफ़ी देर, हो सकता है उनको, और दिमागी रूप से तो वो आहत है ही। और आप सोच सकते हैं कि इतने दिन की संघर्ष चल रही है, उनकी सालों की संघर्ष है, पर 4 दिन से वो लगातार सोए नहीं है, खाया नहीं है ढंग से, तो इस चक्कर में भी हो सकता है उनको कुछ तबीयत खराब हो गई।
All right, Yogita there live with us now. Yogita, in that soundbite you were mentioning about the health condition of both the victim and her mother. Are they in good condition to be there when the Supreme Court takes up the appeal?
Yes, they were fine after a while, because I think after they could manage to gather themselves. However, they're not that sound, but they want to be there tomorrow, and hopefully the judgment will be revoked, and this girl will get justice, and the bail will be rejected from Supreme Court.
All right, all eyes there on the Supreme Court tomorrow. Yogita, I believe you would also be there. Please tell us, what are the grounds on which the CBI has challenged this Delhi High Court order?
See, we would not know the details because it's CBI, and we would only get to know once, tomorrow, once it is filed, in terms of it is being considered. However, we are very much sure that they would have done a better job this time, because there were a lot of loopholes earlier, and there were a lot of loose ends rather. So I think they must have done a good job this time, but I'm not sure about the details what they have written to Supreme Court.
The kind of outrage that's there across the country, Yogita, in this case, the Delhi High Court really taking a very technical view of such a challenging situation that the victim faces. You have been, taking care of the victim and the family and, speaking to them. What's your sense? Are they confident? Are they still hopeful? Or they're clutching to their straws and hoping that the Supreme Court really takes a different view from what the Delhi High Court has done?
Very much hopeful. After all the support we are getting from media, after we are getting support from the people, the outrage the public has, especially the women of the country, I think Supreme Court might do justice to his daughter, and we are very much hopeful for that.
Okay, and are you aware who else is supporting this appeal? Are there some other petitions in support of the victim?
I got to know there are a couple of advocates who have filed in their individual capacity, and we are also going ahead as the victim herself will be going to the courts through her advocate. That is also there. But right now, what we are depending on is this thing filed by CBI. So let's see what we get to hear, or maybe they will club all the petitioners. I'm not pretty sure right now about the Supreme Court, but as of now, multiple people are going to the courts.
Yogita, also multiple times we have heard the victim and her mother mention about the threat to their lives and the threat perception that is there in case this very powerful strongman and leader from Unnao really comes out. Though of course, in the immediate instance, he is not coming out. There is already another conviction for which he is serving the jail term. But the fact of the matter is that he's a strong man. The reason why the victim and the family had to move out of Unnao and be in Delhi. The High Court order says that there are conditions which sort of protect the victim, but that sense of protection we have not seen in the kind of reactions that have come in from the victim and the family.
So they have given her security. The victim herself has a security, but her husband, her children, her mother, and other 4 siblings, they don't have protection. So what she's asking is protection for everyone, and which is valid, because her aunts were killed. There were multiple issues where there were constant threats. Her husband was beaten up last month. So there is a constant sense of fear in her mind, which is a legitimate one, and she has gone through so much, and that's the reason she wants a security cover for entire family.
Okay, and there is a separate petition filed by advocates Anjali Patel and Pooja Shilpkar. You think that really strengthens the case of the victim?
See, they have filed, which is a welcome move. People should definitely wake up, to the reality and do something about it, whether legally or on roads. However, I genuinely want to kind of pray that, it should not dilute the thing, or rather it should strengthen that. Technically, legally, I would not know. However, I think Supreme Court is going to club all these matters, but unless they know the details, unless they know the victim and understand what she's gone through, unless they really get into it, mere for formality, if they have done it, it will damage the case. But if they are genuine about it, they should have met the victim. So far, they have not. Merely on the basis of documents, if they filed, let's see if, how Supreme Court takes it up. So I'm not able to right now say about that. But yes, everybody is willing to is coming to support, and be with the victim itself is a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. Yogita, stay with us. I'll come back to you for one final question. But before that, I'm told Brinda Adige, one of the women's rights activists, has also joined us over the phone. Brinda Adige, it seemed like miscarriage of justice, so to say, in the Delhi High Court order. You think that tomorrow there is an opportunity when the Supreme Court under the Chief Justice of India really takes up the matter and the CBI appeal and hears this case and the Unnao rape victims' appeal?
Absolutely. It is not just an opportunity. It is something that is expected of the court, because all of us know courts are our last resort. There is nowhere else that we can go for justice, especially in a case that is so severe and serious. You're looking at the survivor who has been fighting this case, and we know the Unnao case has been one of the most brutal, where she lost her father, she lost her uncle, two of her aunts, and she has, even today, she says that I did not commit suicide because I was thinking of my children. Now, if these are not issues that the court is looking at, what will the court look at? The court gave a very, very flimsy response and an argument to saying why that Sengar guy should be let out. And that is unacceptable, because you and I know that the letter and the spirit of the law has not been upheld by whoever it was that gave that order. So it is important that the Supreme Court look into it. We are not saying that you be charitable and you be kind to the survivor. Her constitutional guarantees must be upheld by the court. And if it is going to be just that the court is going to look at it seriously only when the survivor and her supporters are on the street, can you imagine what a plight it is for the rest of the other people who are fighting similar cases across India? And that is why Supreme Court's interference, if I may use that word, in this particular case and taking it to a due conclusion where the rights are upheld is very, very important.
I mean, Yogita, and the fact of the matter is, had it not been for the kind of activism we have seen coming in with a kind of, taking cudgels on behalf of the victim, it's likely that this would have led to perhaps the release of the accused and some real threat to the victim as well.
Yes, that's what exactly we are saying, that why we have to be protesting and taking that role of activism for each and every victim. Why can't on autopilot mode we can get justice for all the daughters of the country? Why can't we have justice for Ankita Bhandari and other girls who are suffering and never got justice? So this is, we have limitation even to agitate, we can't be on every day on street. So for this girl, definitely she was associated with us, she was in touch with us, so I could reach out to her, I could guide her in terms of this is how we are supposed to go. But in how many cases one can be around? So that's what the agony is, that when she was in High Court she was all alone. There was not even a single person, not even her lawyers were with her. So when she was constantly crying for what happened to her, she didn't even know that, because she could not understand English order. So that's the reason she kept calling in. When we tried to tell her that this is exactly is happening, that time she almost fainted. And because we've been supporting her, I was also in shock. And this was not done. So we didn't know what to do, and we sat on the dharna, So, but for how many victims one can do that? So why can't we just get justice on that natural way,
Absolutely. In fact, it was such a technical ground that the Delhi High Court took, saying that the sentence could be suspended because he has already served substantial period of time in jail. The nation is watching as the topmost court of the country takes up the appeal filed by the CBI and some others in support of the Unnao rape victim. Thank you so much, Yogita Bhayana, for joining us. We hope you will be joining us back tomorrow again when the hearing takes place. Moving on for now, the other story which we are focusing on, again coming up in the Supreme Court tomorrow, the review of the Aravali case verdict that the Supreme Court is taking up suo motu. But Republic, remember, uncovered a fresh case of illegal mining in the ranges in Rajasthan, and that's dangerously close to an eco-sensitive zone near the sacred Guru Shikhar, close to Mount Abu. Republic reporter Swarali, who was there on the ground, found vast stretches of barren and excavated land, discolored water in the river basin, allegedly due to the blasting, chemicals used and dumped, and fresh tractor tracks pointing to recent illegal activity. Despite strict environmental regulations, mining appears to be taking place in broad daylight, with the stones extracted and swiftly transported before authorities arrive. We are getting you this very exclusive ground report that exposes not just environmental damage, but a serious lapse in enforcement, threatening one of India's oldest and most fragile mountain ranges. This is just a day before the Supreme Court takes up the review. Take a look.
Across the border of this mining zone, no stone is to be found. Color of this water is such because of the chemicals which are used to blast in these mines. These are totally illegal. They started vacating the place. We saw some tractors moving around which were far, and that's why we could not capture it in the video. But we can see this wheel track is very fresh. These are the fresh visuals, and this is how there are several such pits across the region.
This illegal mining site is located just a few kilometers from an eco-sensitive zone near the sacred Guru Shikhar in Rajasthan.
And if we see in the front, the entire Aravali range, that is protected because it's the eco-sensitive zone. But through our visuals, we can see just few kilometers away from the eco-sensitive zone, which is preserved, and very strict rules are observed over there. This is the situation right near the same Aravali range. These were also few feet mountains, hills, which are totally vanished. They are excavated. They have been illegally mining different sorts of material. We can see through the visuals, the stones are being collected. There's this path from where the tractors and the dumpers travel upside and take away the sand, stones, cement, the raw material which is required to make all the construction materials. All of that is illegally mined from this area.
Despite strict regulations, the land you see on your screen is completely barren, with a few stones lying around, perhaps about to be loaded on the tractors. The same tractors that just vanished. This is still an eco-sensitive zone, right next to the sacred peak, one of the highest in the Aravalis. So how do these fraudsters manage to do such damage in yawning broad daylight? Hear it directly from our Republic reporter, Sorali, on ground.
Try and zoom into this area. There are fresh watermarks. We can see people were over here because we saw them escaping through another route, and there was a bike on the other side of this site. He was totally trying to track and monitor our movement. There was also another site where we tried to peek into, and the bulldozers, the tractors stopped moving. The time we were approaching the site, we could hear the noises and they were operational. but the moment we stepped in on the hillside from where we can get the view, they had stopped functioning. This region is very close to Mount Abu, which is the highest peak of Aravalli hill range, which is around billions of years ago, which was formed even before the human existence. And we have got to know that this area is under the jurisdiction of UIT, that is Urban Improvement Trust of Abu region. And I'm also going to walk through the another side of this patch, which is also excavated totally. And there are several such pits across the area. But this is the previous site. The work is not going on right now. But even from these area, material including stones, sand, it was mined from this region as well. Because there are the paths we can see, if we can zoom in, the paths which are made to take away all the material which is mined. When we try to talk to locals, they have told us that mining basically takes place in the night time, and then during the morning hours, dumpers, tractors, trucks carry them away. And it's very shocking to see. Usually when we are reporting the examples of illegal mining, what these mining companies do is that they take a lease of certain area and then they excavate more than that, or they go deeper above the permissible limits. But this is entirely different picture. There is no sign of lease which is being given, or there is no ML number which is provided for the area and period of lease. This is totally illegal mining. The site is very near to Mount Abu and to river called West Banas.
No intimidation will halt our reportage. This is Republic on Ground. No fear, only truth.
दादी के हाथों का जादू और खुशबू से महकता घर, माँ की मुस्कुराहट और खाने की सुगंध, MDH गरम मसाला,
क्योंकि हर रिश्ता है स्वाद से जुड़ा।
In the global employability rankings by Times Higher Education UK, only the following 6 institutions from India are ranked amongst the top 230 in the world for having the most employable graduates: IIT Delhi, IISc Bangalore, IIT Bombay, IIM Ahmedabad, IIT Kharagpur and Amity University.
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है। अरे मेरे राजा, सबका राजा आरती और मसाला।
मुस्कुराए लड़खड़ाए जिंदगी, चाहे जो भी हो।
सर, पेशेंट के लिए कौन सा रूम प्रेफर करेंगे आप?
जिंदगी भर के प्यार का कोई रेट कार्ड नहीं होता। टाटा AIG हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस, विद यू लाइक फैमिली, विद यू ऑलवेज।
आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला। MDH।
मेरी चिमनी टूट जाएगी। What are you doing?
रानी, इस घर में कुछ है जो टूटता नहीं।
ये पिलर कभी नहीं टूटेगा। रुंगटा स्टील TMT से बना।
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रुंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड।
आर प्योर शाही पनीर मसाला, डिलीशियस, हेल्दी एवरीडे।
In Bangladesh, what we're essentially seeing is that the radicals have been given a complete free run. As the Chief Minister, I want to ask you the national security ramifications.
We have all along discussed the chicken neck, but have we ever discussed who are the people in the chicken neck? Everybody who is there in the chicken neck, everybody have come from Bangladesh. Tomorrow, if government of Bangladesh say that let me take over the chicken neck, now the local people will say please come, because they themselves have come from Bangladesh.
आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला। MDH।
In the global employability rankings by Times Higher Education UK, only the following 6 institutions from India are ranked amongst the top 230 in the world for having the most employable graduates: IIT Delhi, IISc Bangalore, IIT Bombay, IIM Ahmedabad, IIT Kharagpur and Amity University.
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा क्या स्वाद है। अरे मेरे राजा, सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला।
मेरी चिमनी टूट जाएगी। What are you doing?
रानी, इस घर में कुछ है जो टूटता नहीं।
ये पिलर कभी नहीं टूटेगा। रुंगटा स्टील TMT से बना।
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रुंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड।
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने।
मुस्कुराए लड़खड़ाए जिंदगी, चाहे जो भी हो।
सर, पेशेंट के लिए कौन सा रूम प्रेफर करेंगे आप?
जिंदगी भर के प्यार का कोई रेट कार्ड नहीं होता। टाटा AIG हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस, विद यू लाइक फैमिली, विद यू ऑलवेज।
आर प्योर सूजी पास्ता, उबालो, मिलाओ और खाओ।
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है, सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला।
We just now felt this entire mountain shiver because there are blasts going on, as we were telling you, usually for the limestone mine.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching Live and Breaking on Republic this 7:30 p.m. on Sunday evening. The biggest story that we're tracking this evening for you, ladies and gentlemen, is a baggage handling system failure that has been reported at the Delhi International Airport. It's a live and breaking situation where we are getting more information just days after the Indigo fiasco, which left thousands, if not lakhs of bags stranded at the Delhi airport, which is India's most busiest international and national airport. Now there is a baggage handling systems failure that has been reported at the Delhi airport since about 15:30 hours this afternoon, that is about 3:30 p.m. And there has been an impact on the flight operations as a result of this baggage handling systems failure. The initial delay was between 3 p.m. to 4:10 p.m., which was minimal. However, after 4 p.m. onwards, flights have been experiencing an average delay of nearly 30 minutes due to the cascading impact of the overall schedule. So a major setback now in the administrative failure at the Delhi airport. That is what we are picking up in terms of baggage handling. Once again, this is a technical issue on the side of the airport management, where flights have seen an average delay of about 30 minutes at various levels across the airport. That's the latest coming in. The team of IOCC is also closely monitoring the updates coming in from the Delhi airport, as the delays are now being planned accordingly to mitigate the impact on the operation. That's the latest.
Assam sits at the heart of India's fault lines when it comes to demography, identity, as well as infiltration. In fact, these are some of the key issues which has been taken up by the Chief Minister of Assam, and many would say that this is no longer limited to just the state of Assam with more of national security ramifications. Thank you very much, Chief Minister, for speaking to Republic TV. Let me straight away begin by asking you the question on demography. When you said that 40% of it becoming Muslim population in the state of Assam, many argued that is this an alarmist way of looking at it, or is it something that was happening for a very long time and there was no national gaze on this issue?
I think in a state where native become a minority or in the process of becoming a minority, I think it raises a high alarm, because in India no other state demography is being changed because of infiltration. Supreme Court of India, while deciding a case for Assam, it has clearly stated that Assam is facing demographic invasion. The process was started right from 1940s, but from 1961 onwards, it has accelerated. In 2011 census, the Muslim population in Assam has been recognized at 34%. Every year, the trend of increase is 4%. So, if there would have been census in 2021, it would have been 38%. And today, as we are in 2025, so add another 2% into it, so it's 40%. So, if you somehow say that no, last 10 years inflation has come down, or if you attribute some positivity that yes, something has happened on ground, then maximum it will be reduced by 1%. So, today 39 to 40%. Now, how this has happened? A kind of chain of influx has happened in Assam. Population from a other country came to Assam. They have their children, they have their grandchildren, and in the process, the native people are being pushed into the wall.
Right. But do you think this is, when you look at the time period, because many would also argue that this is on for a very long time, and somewhere down the line there was not much that was essential in it. The foreign tribunal came in at a much later stage.
You see, whether it is a long time or it is a short time, statistics says that all these happened post 1960. So, what Assam gained from independence? Because these are the period where in fact post freedom, post independence, we should have been strengthened.
But what explains the sudden spike from 1991? No, what led to this kind of a spike?
There is no spike, there is an even pattern. Every census increase is 4.444%. So, neither spike, neither no spike. That the momentum is continue, and today this is the result.
Is it infiltration or is it a natural population growth?
It is a fast, it is a infiltration, and obviously those who has come in, they will produce children also. I am a Bangladeshi person, I entered into Assam, then definitely I will have my children also. So, it is both homegrown, but who was the father, who was the mother? They all were from Bangladesh. So, it is a homegrown as well as infiltration. Once you enter into Assam, definitely you are going to produce 8, 9, 7 children. So multiplication factor happens when you entered into Assam and you settle down, then multiplication takes place.
Let me ask you this, Chief Minister, because as someone who comes from the Northeast himself, what we saw when we were growing up years is the question of identity, and the fight of identity still remains. I have my friends who are from the state, we've studied together. In fact, many say the Ahoms, the original inhabitants, have been now reduced. It's almost minority to such an extent that you have your large part of your districts are now Muslim population.
I don't think that now it is a question of Assam. I spent whole lot of my time in Jharkhand last year. Right. The story is same. Then I spend, I follow West Bengal. The story is Bengal is also same. So by
they're the largest contributor. You are the second largest contributor.
I think when 2027 census will come, you will see that Assam, Bihar, Bengal and Jharkhand. So Assam is victim number 1, closely followed by Bengal, third Jharkhand, fourth Bihar. So this is a problem of entire eastern India. From once you have so many population in Jharkhand, in Assam, in Bengal, they will keep on coming to mainland India. So this is not a local problem. We are living in that problem, and probably we are reaching the level of saturation, because once you have 40%, the political, economic power will start shifting. When you will advertise a government post, definitely the children of them will occupy. There will be election, they will win election. So gradually, the composition in legislature, composition is government services, composition in police, composition is in other area, the distribution of wealth, all these are changing.
What is your biggest concern right now? If I am to ask you your prediction as someone who has been in power and has been an administrator also, what is the biggest concern?
You see, as an individual or as a CM, I have expressed my concern everywhere, but the Indian law operates in a different way. It's a secular country. Once you came in, you produce children, you acquire fundamental rights, you cannot be touched, and you become Indian immediately. Then there are a whole lot of, they become part of the security system. So they become naturalized immediately. They get Aadhaar, they get all their entitlement. So now, as individual or as a CM of Assam or government of India, you do not have those kind of powers. So look, whatever you are, you have come from Bangladesh, your ethnicity is not original Indian, you will be taken like that. So we do not have any drastic laws. We have to operate within the laws and constitution.
Do you believe that the NRC was a solution, and if that would have not happened?
I mean, you see, these are all survival tactics. You can defer. There will be NRC. You will identify 7-8 lakhs people. You will push them. You will say that, okay, they will not get voter list. But what about their children? One fine morning they will come to the court that this is my third generation. Why not I will get voting rights?
Why do I get a sense that you are not, you feel very handicapped right now?
We have all these brilliant sections, Article 41, Article 21. So all these sections are in place.
why are you being pessimistic about the fact that the foreign tribunal did actually manage to push back?
They can't do anything. Which tribunal will push 1.5 crores of people? So these are just a mechanism to defer the inevitable to an extent.
You are saying it's inevitable?
It is inevitable because this census will again give you result. When I started this discussion, when they were 27%, right. But they have become 34%. I came to Delhi, we attend many seminars, we entered into many TV debates when they were 27%. I clearly remember in Delhi Press Club there was a debate, then I said they are already 27, but now they are roughly 40. So if a Bangladeshi person who entered into Assam, maybe 1970, 1969, 1965, they have now 3 generations.
What will you tell them, the indigenous people who feel vulnerable because they are losing out not only a seat in power, but also their fundamental rights and resources?
Because I think there were concern. Assamese people has gone into street, 860 people martyred. So gradually, like Kerala, like Bengal, our people will also become secular at some point of time when they will see inevitable. When some section will start mixing up with them, some section will come out of Assam under pressure, they will settle in Delhi, Mumbai. Some will still keep on fighting. So what else you will do?
But when do you get worried? Because the moment when you start making this statement that you have made, time and again you have been accused of becoming almost borderline anti-Muslim.
No. It is not about me. If you come to Assam, you will see that inevitable. You will see that whenever I say or not say, the factual situation will remain same. Now, there will be section of people who will say, so what? And there will be a section of people that no, it's big thing. So depends, you are following whom. So there will be a section of people who said, what happened? Let Assam be Muslim majority. What is your problem? It is a secular country. So there will be a section of people who will criticize me for saying that, who will criticize everyone. There will be a people, no, it has become demographic invasion, has become big thing. Today it is Assam, tomorrow Bengal, tomorrow Jharkhand, tomorrow Chhattisgarh. Let's do something. So there will be that section of people. But solution, I don't know. Because even if you are very strong, how much people you can push back to Bangladesh?
You started the pushback policy.
Because I say my job is to defer the inevitable. Sitting in this chair, I always see that, okay, let me save Assam for 10 years. Then a new generation will come, they will try to find out some other means. And they will try to defer the inevitable by another 10 years. That's how people fight. That's how people, that is the survival instinct. And in between, somebody will surrender also. Okay, let's mix up with them. What's the problem? So there will be a section of people who will surrender also. There will be a section of people who will feel happy also. Okay, they are now, that state is solid. At least like Kerala, like Bengal, now Assam will also contribute in creation of government in Delhi in our way. So there are people who are happy also.
Let me add to one aspect which is not an election issue, but it's a concern for many of us who follow national security. For instance, as far as the ABT is concerned in Bangladesh, the Jamaat is concerned in Bangladesh, what we are essentially seeing is that the radicals have been given a complete free run. As the Chief Minister who monitors national security, I want to ask you the national security ramification.
I'll give you a small example. We have all along discussed the chicken neck.
Yes.
But have we ever discussed who are the people in the chicken neck? Everybody say chicken neck, 22 kilometer, 22 kilometer. But everybody who is there in the chicken neck and in the 10 kilometer vicinities of chicken neck in the Indian side, everybody have come from Bangladesh. So tomorrow, if government of Bangladesh says that let me take over the chicken neck, now the local people will say please come, because they themselves have come from Bangladesh. Maybe 10% still original Indian people are there, or 20% people are there. But if you go entire 22 kilometer by road, maybe you extend it to in Assam side another 10 kilometer, Bengal side another 10 kilometer, the entire 40 kilometers roads, both sides, there are people who have come from Bangladesh in the different years, regularized as Indian citizen, and they are sitting there. Now, their loyalty will be in which sides? Nobody knows. If suppose tomorrow in a chicken neck of India, Pakistan, if in that chicken neck the populations are entirely Hindu, so in a war between Pakistan and India, the Hindus will sided for with whom? The answer is very clear. I don't have to say. So similarly, today the biggest concern, people are saying chicken neck is biggest concern. No. Along with the chicken neck, the resident of chicken necks, their loyalty will be which side? Now in Assam, there are section of people, of course, because now we are running the government, they are not speaking very loudly. In Bengal side, the political leaders of Murshidabad, etc., they say it straightly. So now it becomes our land, you go back. Now Shariat Kanun will be here, you go back. So in Assam side, the people are not saying openly because we are there, we will take action. But in Bengal side, people are already saying, so if Sharia Kanun come to us, we will be happy.
But people who are listening to you tonight would be extremely worried, because at the end of the day, when we are talking about military garrisons are coming in these areas, we are trying to fortify ourselves.
I think these are the briefing I got from people who are connected very closely with the security paraphernalia. They came, they have given me the maps. So this is the chicken neck and these are the people. We have given a land to army to set up a garrison, set up a unit in Dhubri. So fine. But who are the neighbor of that garrison? 50 kilometers, that garrison is surrounded by the people who have come from Bangladesh at some point of time. Because debate is which year they came. If they come post 71, you can say them as a foreigners. If they come prior to 71, they are Indian. But I become Indian by law. I acquire citizens of Indian. But my spirit will be with Sharia, my spirit will be with Bangladesh, or my spirit will be with the Constitution of India. That loyalty will be which way it will go. Nobody can predict.
But aren't we playing with fire right now? Because I'm saying the Bangladesh army chief was barely few kilometers away from that area. There are surprise checks that are being made. There is a airfield that is coming up. They are as close as they can get.
I think airfield, those are the military points. Do you need missiles? Only you tell people around Second Night that from tomorrow we will be governed by the Sharia Act. There will be spontaneous jubilation among the people. The airfield, garrisons, missiles, those will come later. Today, if I sitting in the Prime Minister of Bangladesh, the President of Bangladesh, Army Commander of Bangladesh, they all knows that this entire population has come from our land and their relatives are still inside my country. Even many of them, they don't hear All India Radio, they hear Radio Bangladesh. For music festival, they do not invite artists from India, they invite artists from Bangladesh. They study the same language, they study in the same madrasa. Maybe it is just, you can just go to the fans and you can exchange anything.
Then the question would be,